What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Michael Knapp Fishing. We didn't film an intro for this video. I don't really know why I didn't do it, so we're gonna film one real quick from my office while I'm editing there. This is Jig Fishing 101. Everything I know about jig fishing, everything I love to do with jig fishing. Come along, guys. Let's talk about jig fishing. It's one of those deals that a lot of people know me for it. Whenever we're talking about, catching bass and what I like doing, everybody knows, well, Knapp's answer is going to be a jig. That's what I've always kind of leaned to here the last few years, and it's really produced well for me. It's one of those baits that you can do really anything with. You can swim it, you can crawl it, you can jump it, you can crack it. Well, I'm sure some people don't know what cracking a jig is, but you can do all kinds of things with it. There we go. And that's the great thing about a jig, especially this right here. They catch all sizes of fish, for one. But it is known as a big fish bait usually. I can't see where it is. So jig fishing, it's something that a lot of people don't necessarily have the patience for. And it's one of those things that I love it because it is a slower presentation, a slower style of fishing. Man, he bent the far out of my weed guard. Alright, well, we're going to keep fishing it anyway, just because I don't feel like changing it out right now while we're talking about this. So, the big question that I get a lot, the number one question I got when I broke my PB on Lake Chickamauga this year was, what were you targeting? Because everybody knows I throw a jig. That's I've broken my PB twice this year on a jig. I had a 6-pounder back in, oh goodness, when was that? Back in March, maybe? February, March, somewhere around there. And then again in April on chick. So with the jig, your targets are really limitless. I mean, you can target anything with it. Grass, as you can see, I'm pulling grass up now. Grass, wood, rock. Rock's a little trickier, so you got to be kind of. We'll talk about rock here in a second. But the big deal for me is, oh dang, and that, gentlemen, is why you retie. That is why you retie. I even told you all I was supposed to do that. Trying to see if I can see that fish. Yeah, it's right there. Is that it right there? If I can see that fish, I'm going to try and get that hook out of its mouth. No, it's gone. He probably shook it out anyway. Alright. So, what we're targeting here is wood, as you can all see. That is the third bite in the last 5 minutes I've been talking to you guys. So real quick, we're going to go over how I tie my jig on, my trailer, and we'll go over that real quick, and then we'll get back to what we were talking about since we have the opportunity to do this right now. So as everybody knows, Lick Creek Custom Lures is my jig sponsor. That is who I represent. They made a signature series of baits for me. It is called the MK Signature Series, and this is the jig I've been throwing, and that's the last one I have, unfortunately. But these are my MK Signature Series of jigs. I have 12 different colors. I may go to that one here in a second, actually. Now we'll stay with the one that we've been using. Alright. So we've got the jig. Let me get trailer. Always gonna have that. We'll talk about that too. And why I do it. It's not necessarily a must, but I do. Oh no, did I forget to refill my green pumpkin crawls? Shoot. We may be running Okeechobee crawl. Black and blue, red. Dang, right there they are. Oh, no, I got one left. Ho, ho, ho. One left, all right. Well, we're gonna have to make that one count. We're gonna have to go to a different color. Actually, I may have a finesse version too. All right, guys, so we have got our line down here. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you all the knot that I tie. This is the, I don't really know what to call it. We're just gonna go off how I learned it. Gerald Swindle teaches how to tie this. He calls it the double shendo knot. So that's just kind of what we go off of with it. And this is the knot that I tie on my jig. All right. So you double your line through the eye. Get this crap off there so it doesn't look terrible. Okay. All right, so we got our line doubled, and then we're just gonna wrap it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I wrap mine 5 times. Back through the eye, or not back through the eye, I'm sorry, back through the original loop, and then back through the new loop. Wet it. Cinch it down. Do not over tighten it, guys. You don't need to put a bunch of weight behind it. And then you're gonna have 3 tag ends. There's 1 and 2. And here is number 3, if I can get it in there. There we go, number 3. Should probably get bigger pliers, or littler pliers in it, excuse me. All right, now, wow, there's a little hook on that, or a little rust on that hook. That's not good. I've been using that last jig since April. That's the same jig that I caught my PB on. And it's August. That gives you any idea of how long I've been using, and I haven't lost it, which is very disappointing. So we're gonna slide this joker right on up on here. Just like so. Make sure it comes out straight, which it did. Go up on the keeper good. Okay, so there's the general profile of it. Notice my weed guard is on top of my hook. It is going to be very, very weedless. I'm not saying it's perfectly weedless, because no jig is, but it is extremely, extremely weedless. Get my stuff out of there. Extremely weedless. You don't want your weed guard way up here. You want that weed guard touching it. That's just the way that I feel as though it works the best. Now, this is optional. Some people do it, some people don't. I do it depending on season, depending on what the fish tell me. Considering I had 3 fish in a row bite it, we're gonna do it again. We do a little bit of spike it, just the tips, just a few seconds, just like that. Remember, that crap will stain your carpet. Do not get it on it. Let me just close. Oh, what just fell? Oh no. Y'all, I just told you it's stained crap, and look what I done did. I done stained my hand with it. I done dropped it on the carpet. Dang. Somehow I didn't get it on the carpet though. It just got on my hand. Alright. Tied up. Jig on. Okay. There we go. Alright. Alright, we are back in business. So, I'm going to go ahead and bring the power poles back up. Shoo. Man, that reeks on my hand. Alright, so we ruined that brush pile, unfortunately, but plenty more. So now that we've got our bait tied on, we've got the new bait dyed, the craw on. That is a Exxon Lures Muscleback craw in green pumpkin with a Lick Creek Custom Lures MK Signature Series jig. And we're going to hit this brush pile here that is down in the wood, or down in the water, sorry. I promise I'll talk correctly here in a second. All right, so back to our targeting, what we're going to be targeting. The big targets for me in the summertime. This is summer. We're in the summer right now. We're talking summer fishing. I'm going to do a different video on winter jig fishing once wintertime rolls around here. And we're really getting into that. But for summer fishing right now, it's all about wood for me. I am focusing on wood and rock. The particular body of water that I'm on now is all about the wood. So we are fishing brush piles that are, varying in the water. And the great thing about a jig is it can be fished in all kinds of depths of water. It can be a shallow bite, it can be a deep bite. It's a very versatile bait. So we are going to be targeting, like I said, this wood here, and a lot of people, go straight for the quote-unquote juice. There was another bite. I think that was a bluegill. The one thing with the jig is it's going to produce multiple bites, so don't go straight for the juice. Go, kind of fish around the areas and then go into the center last. So let's talk about the rod, reel, and line. Now, a lot of people have a lot of different opinions on their rod and reel, so I'm going to give you my exact setup, my opinion on it. This is, like I said, solely my opinion. So I run a 7-foot, medium heavy fast, old 18 suppressor rod. This rod was specifically designed for jig fishing. I feel that it is the best jig rod on the market. And a lot of people don't. There's one. A lot of people don't know about old 18, so not a lot of people have ever used it. But take it from me, I've used a lot of rods. Stop it. Dude, if you hook me, I'm going to be ticked. Can you please stop? Okay. All right. So, old 18 rod, old 18 suppressor, 7-foot, medium heavy, fast. The reel, I'm not going to make another cast because with my luck, I'm going to catch another one and I'm going to forget where I was again. Daiwa Tatula, this is the TWSV or SVTW, I can't remember, SVTW. It is an 8.1 to 1 gear ratio. I can't help myself, I got to cast back in there. 8.1 to 1 gear ratio. Yet again, we're going to have a lot of different opinions on this, but I like a faster retrieve. That way I can pick up the slack, because they do, when they bite it, a lot of the times they'll run at you with it. So I like to, be able to pick up that slack. Fluorocarbon line. I only run fluorocarbon when fishing a jig, nothing else. I want no stretch. I want the maximum power that I can get out of it. I run 17-pound Sufix advanced fluorocarbon. Everybody knows how much I love my Sufix. That is the only way I will run is 17-pound on a jig. Now, if I'm flipping grass with a jig, we'll talk about that here in a second, but I will up my line. All right, so as far as other targets that we can fish, you've got obviously your wood, which is what we are targeting now. You can fish grass with it. They make all kinds of different jigs, technique-specific jigs, and I do like a good grass jig. When I fish a grass jig, I go up to a 7'6" heavy fast. You've got to be able to get that thing in there, and you got to be able to pry them out of there. As far as gear ratios go, when you start getting into that thick stuff, gear ratios with your reels, you start getting into that thick grass and stuff, you want to go down, you want to go lower in your gear ratio. That way you're actually able to get more torque on them to pull them out of there. So a lot of the time I'll go down to a 6'3" or a 6'8" even, and that gives me a little bit more torque to be able to pull them out. So when we are talking jigs and rock, You know, that's one thing that a lot of people are like, oh, well, I won't fish a jig and rock because it gets hung up very easily. It's hard to get it back. Yes, that is correct. You know, they do hang up easily. But the big problem for 99% of people that don't like fishing a jig and rock is they're using too heavy of a jig. You know, I don't ever use an overly heavy jig. I like my light jigs. You know, a lot of people would argue that I'm borderline finessing my jig. They're very light. My signature series ball head jigs are all 3/8 ounce. I do not run heavier jigs on ball head. I like it 3/8. It falls a little more naturally, so it doesn't get hung up as easily because it is lighter. So when we're throwing around rock, I will throw a 3/8 ounce jig, and that allows me to be able to bounce through the rock a little bit easier and really be able to come through that stuff without, oh no, I'm gonna get hung in that because I went right in that crack. You're able to bounce up and out of that rock a lot easier because you're not as heavy of a weight. Now, I told you guys we would talk about cracking a jig or ripping a jig. There's a bunch of different names for it. But essentially what you're doing is you are replicating a fleeing crayfish, crawfish. If you've ever seen a crawfish, they jump up and dart out. So what you're doing with your jig is you're actually popping up and popping again, and it darts itself, and it just gives a look of a fleeing crawfish. And you know, that's really kind of what we're replicating is a crawfish. Oh dang, that was a little guy. You're replicating a crawfish or a bluegill, and that's 99.9% of the time what you're replicating. Today's instance, I feel as though I'm replicating a bluegill. Because it's got some brown in it, it's got the green claws. I feel like that's what they think it is a bluegill, so that's kind of what we're replicating. So let's talk colors with our jigs. If you remember looking in my box, there's two base colors. You know, you got black and you got brown. If they're not biting a black one, they'll bite a brown one. They're not biting a brown one, go back to the black one. I'm very adamant on that. Now, I know everybody's gonna be like, well, there were 12 different colors in there. Yes, there were 12 different colors in there, but there were, all the bases were brown and black for those. So, you know, I got 5 different blacks. I've got black and blue. That was another one. Black and blue, black and yellow, black and purple, black and red, and black and green. And they all, you know, give a little bit different water stain, water clarity, you know, just stuff like that. It just replicates different colors there. But as far as, you know, if you're going to going to Bass Pro and you want to pick up some jigs and you want to start jig fishing, you pick up 2. Well, let me rephrase that. You pick up 4, but you pick up 2 per color. You're going to pick up 2 black and blues and 2 brown and green, brown and whatever. But those are your two base colors. And guys, do yourself a favor. Don't ever just buy one jig, because I promise you, you're going to lose. You're going to break it off like I just did. So just do yourself a favor and always pick up an extra, 2 or 3 jigs. I usually carry 4 or 5 of each color. But I haven't gotten a restock lately from Mercury Custom Lures because, I'll be honest, I forgot I was that limited on them. So guys, that's kind of my jig 101 for you guys. Just a real quick recap. We've got the Ballhead Lick Creek Custom Lures jig in a brown, green pumpkin, purplish, whatever. Green pumpkin XM lure muscleback crawl, a little bit of spike it on it. The Iowa Tatula SVTW 8.1-to-1 gear ratio, 17-pound Sufix fluorocarbon, and the greatest jig rod I have ever owned. The old 18 medium heavy fast suppressor series rod. It is a tank, guys. Absolute great rod. Guys, if you like these videos, do me a huge favor. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, leave me a comment down in the comment section below. I would greatly appreciate it, guys. Take care. I'll see y'all later.